This is Dr. Neil Latrache, one of the premier orthopedic surgeons in all of sports in all of America, the physician for the Dodgers and a consultant for the Ducks, the Rams, the Lakers, et cetera, in the past as well. There's a knee. That is a right knee. Show us what the surgery was.
So Robert tore on the inside. He had had a previous ACL reconstruction in 2009 when he was at Baylor, and he re-injured that graft that reconstructed that ACL. He also injured the lateral collateral ligament. Now, on this model, it looks like there's just one structure for the lateral collateral ligament, and that's true. However, whenever this is injured, usually the entire sheet of ligaments that control rotation, as well as what's called varus stress, is also injured. So you got a rotatory component with the injury to this and the sheet of ligaments, in addition to the ACL injury on the inside.
It's complicated surgery. Realistically, how long are we talking?
Well, he had to have, to reconstruct the ACL, he had to have the patellar tendon used from the other knee to bring into this knee because he had already had this one used previously in '09. So they borrowed tissue from the opposite knee to put in here to reconstruct it. They were able to do what's called a primary repair of this tissue. This tissue has to be protected. And so you can't be quite as aggressive with the physical therapy and rehab and return to function because you have to allow this to heal. And so he'll be protected, he'll be braced, he may even be on crutches for a little longer to allow this to heal. So unlike what we've come to think of as a premier ACL recovery like Adrian Peterson, you're not going to see quite the aggressiveness in the rehab and recovery from this because there's much more involved with this reconstruction.
7 to 9 months? What do we think?
You know, I think he will be playing this season. I don't think that they're going to box it into, is he going to be ready for preseason in August? You know, I think he will be back playing this season, though, and hopefully he'll be back at the beginning.
Now, he injured his LCL back in Week 14. He played down the stretch, Week 17 most notably against the Cowboys, and then the playoff game as well. Was he at more risk, considering the injury to the LCL Week 14, to get back out there again? You
know, it's an interesting question. It's probably best thought of as a theoretical risk. However, if you see what they did, you know, after his injury, he didn't play that upcoming week. There's no question that what they did was test his knee, allow him to functionally test his knee in practice, and to see what he was capable of and if he felt stable. And so a lot of this decision to allow him to play then depended on how he felt he could function. And they were able to brace him, and clearly he felt that he was able from a stability standpoint to get back in 2 weeks later. So, you know, I think that, yes, anytime you damage any of the ligaments in the knee, theoretically there's increased stress and strain on the remaining ligaments. Was it enough to have, quote, led to his ACL tear? I think that would be a stretch.
Because a lot of people want to point fingers. This is not an easy job. The job of a doctor, a team orthopedist on the sideline. You have a coach, you have a player. You have to make these decisions. How difficult is that?
You know, it's underestimated how difficult it is for these team physicians on the sideline. You know, they have an enormous responsibility, primarily to the health of their players, and to be able to allow the guys to be able to do what they do professionally. So, and these decisions happen very quickly. And there has to be perfect communication between the medical staff, the player, and the coach. In this situation with the Redskins, you know, you have the best of all worlds. You have a world-class player, you have a world-class medical staff and surgeon, Jim Andrews, and you have a world-class coach. So each individual component couldn't be better. But, you know, when you're dealing with decisions that are made that involve risk and inherent risk in the game, they play a dangerous game. That decision is made trying to do what's best for the player, protect the player, but accepting that there is risk. Everybody wants to say, well, you know, let's focus. This was the problem. There's fault here. The fact of the matter is that it's ridiculous to point fingers and to think that there's some culpability to what happened. You know, the player has an obligation to be able to tell his medical staff and to tell his coach what he's feeling. The medical staff has a responsibility to assimilate all of that information and to give the best recommendation to the coach. But the coach isn't responsible for making the medical decision. And you know, I think that there's no blame to be made here.
All right. Well, the one thing I think we can all agree on, Doctor, and we thank you for your time, is that we hope he is back at the start of next season. Dr. Neil ElAttrache here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.